Hello everyone, welcome to the second episode of this series, which is the Prep with Me for UTC series. Here we're going to be breaking down the opposition of round 1 of Copenhagen Open. If you haven't watched the first episode, go watch the episode where I break down the proposition, because it is very insightful to this breakdown as well. So as per usual, we're going to be looking at statements, proving the statements and impacting them, as well as some more strategic things. It would be best if you, for example, before each segment, so before the statement generation, pause the video and try to generate statements on your own. To the argument proving section, try to prove arguments on your own so that you can check out how I'm able to do it and use it as a base of comparison as you're going. There really isn't point to you watching these videos if you're also not doing it, and that'll really further your development as a debater. Cool. We already know the motion. It's the motion about vocational skills, and as like in the previous video, I'm going to do statement generation. So if you are going to do it, you should probably do it right now. Okay, moving forward. So there are three broad claims that you could run within this debate. So the first is that your dream of you as an individual dream of academic success, or you want to do some kind of high achieving work, that university studying is actually good for personal development in general, and that vocational training is actually pretty risky due to industry change. Now, unlike the previous video, this side of the motion has a very particular burden that we need to address before even we start prepping the arguments, before we even start positioning the arguments. And that burden is the burden as to why at all will you be likely to be successful when you're pursuing this career. This is a burden that is very easy to identify if we just look at devotion as an intelligent student from a low-income family. So the easiest thing from a gov team to do in this debate is to say, because you don't have a lot of money, most likely there's a high likelihood of you failing university due to financial reasons. So given this burden is present, and no matter what case we're running, we have to fulfill this burden, it would be good for us to give some kind of preemption if we're in a leader of opposition, or if we're extending to also give analysis for this burden. Because trust me, at least one of the 4 speeches within the British parliamentary round on government side will think of this burden. If not OG, at least CG will be able to generate it. So let's see what kind of preemption we can generate for this argument. If you would like, you can also stop right now, generate the preemption on your own, and then compare the process. So broadly speaking, there are 3 things that you could say on this clash. Well, actually 4, but the 4th one isn't that particularly strong. But in general, 4 things. So the first and most basic things is that you will be able to get some kind of scholarship. There are 2 burdens within this reason. The first is, why do colleges give them? Because they have a natural incentive, to have a good image in front of society in order to attract clients, investors, or grants. Because they want to, for example, when they go to investor meetings or some kind of like news interviews and stuff like that, to say we have X amount of % of scholarships given out to low-income families. We have X amount of positive policies that we can done and stuff like that. So there is a vested incentive for colleges to do that. Why do they have an ability? Because they're just taking a lot of money from students, which they can siphon a part of that for scholarships. The second reason is, why will you be able to get one? Most likely here you could give a bunch of generic reasons, like for example, we know that you are smart, meaning that you most likely have a good academic record. Because you are from a vulnerable status, you can point it out either with your financial records, or like if you have to write an essay or stuff like that. Most likely you have some kind of talent. You could be good at math, you could be good at chess, you could be good at something that makes you stand out. And one more reason within this that I forgot to add is that you're not just applying for one university, most likely you're applying for multiple universities, so at least one is likely to give you a scholarship. Secondly, most likely you'll take up a part-time job. Like you don't have to be in class basically 24/7. You have some kind of time in between classes where you could go and do this part-time job. You could, for example, this could either be one of 2 things, either some kind of more knowledge worker job, like for example tutoring math, or maybe babysitting kids, or maybe providing some kind of like I think this is something that debaters do, like some kind of admission services for university to consult kids. Or you could just work in a cafe or store, or do a combination of both in order to get enough money to basically achieve a normal standard of living or pay off some of the expenses that you may have. The third option is that you can also take a loan, which you can do a very good repayment plan for once you're able to get out of university and pay out this when you have a high paying job. There are many banks or financial institutions that want to give you this money. And I guess the fourth preemption, even though I haven't written it down, is you don't have to go into university directly. You could have like some years where you are 1 or 2 years where you're like working some kind of job to save up money, or maybe even 2 jobs so that you can enter that. So after you've given all of these reasons, the bottom line is that you have a high likelihood of being able to find at least some kind of balance between the financial constraints that you will have and the university studying that you have. Again, this is a critical burden that we need to provide multiple reasons for. It is the number one place that a government team will attack. And if you looked at the previous video, that's actually in the second argument or second case, that's where we attacked this type of burden within opposition. Cool. After we've proven this burden, we need to again go back to the statements that we have had, and we need to choose again from the similarly to the last video, what are the interests of the actor based on the statements that we have generated. So the first thing that we could say most likely is that the actor wants to become some kind of high achiever. Like this could mean, for example, them getting a high paying job, like let's say an investment bank, or they getting an important job, like let's say a doctor or engineer, some kind of like high achieving within society. This is both monetary and in terms of like how society views this job for you to like receive these benefits. Why is this likely? Like here are a couple of reasons. Most likely your whole life you've probably been told that you are smarter than everyone else. Like this instills within you a feeling of want to do great things. Because, for example, if you are smart and you most likely are from a poor family, you didn't go to like the best school, meaning that there's a huge difference between you and the rest of the kids, meaning that you always like kind of felt superior or kind of felt as if you could do other better things. Yeah, a second reason is like if it doesn't happen, it'll feel unfair. Like you'll look at other kids, for example, who have had like financial capacity, who may not be as smart as you, and like they like later succeed and get high-paying jobs, and this will create a sense of envy within you, a sense of negative comparison between you and them, which angers you. Thirdly, here you can co-opt some of the government characterization, which will most likely exist, like the fact that you like have had like a bad life, or those around you, means that you want to have a materially good life. You're able to achieve this when you have like a job like a lawyer, doctor, engineer. And secondly, and finally, like you just really want to work a job that's like well respected. They give you some kind of social status. Here are some examples that are given there. The people find value within these jobs and like generally respect them. Like if you say someone, I'm a doctor, people usually respect you because they view this as like an important job in society. Bottom line, you care about being a high achiever. This is something very important to you, and it's something that you should achieve. Now, how are we able to prove this? We've already taken care of the first burden as to why you're likely to not face that significant financial constraints, or at least find a balance between your commitments in university and your financial problems. Given that's the case, we can go directly into building this argument. So, basically the burden is, why will university increase the chance of you getting a high-paying job like HPJ? The first and most basic reason is that you learn that learning valuable skill takes a long time. So, for example, if you're studying to be an engineer, like you have to learn physics, you have to learn mechanics, you have to learn all of these types of things, and in some cases maybe even do a master's degree where you're able to adequately take up this information so that when you go out to the job market, you have a comprehensive skill. So the university basically gives you the baseline information for you to like go outside and practice these types of jobs. Obviously, this is not all jobs, but it for sure does this. Secondly, it also gives you like connections, because you can network with people who may help you later in life career-wise. Like you could call them up and ask them how is the interview process going with them. They can give you some tips. When they get a job, for example, if you've met someone who's a year older than you, they can refer you to their company, or at least they can advise you based on the lessons that they've learned. Or If it's like meeting some kind of professors, like if they know people in big companies, they can connect you with them, which increases the probability of you succeeding. Thirdly, because like you are very intelligent, you most likely excel at class. You most likely have high grades, have like do like for example interesting projects that you can later get attached to your CV or portfolio, and stuff like that. And finally, you can just do a lot of great extracurricular activities like join the finance club, debate club, politics club, where you can add all of these things to your resume. Bottom line, this increases your probability of getting a high-paying job like an engineer, investment banker, lawyer, and things like that. And here you could do an even if you don't get like the highest paying jobs, certain amounts of jobs are just require you to have a college degree, like jobs in accounting, jobs in marketing, jobs in human resources that aren't the most high paying jobs, but are like relatively high paying jobs compared to the ones with vocational training, require you to have like a bachelor's degree or certain cases a master's degree. So you'll still be well off even if you didn't do this, even if you didn't achieve this to the highest degree. So we've proven the two burdens: why you'll be successful in terms of finances, and why you going and getting this degree significantly increases the probability of you getting a high-paying job. Then what we need to do is prove the comparative, or the flip side of this argument. So the comparative is, on their side, there's a significant risk of not being well played. There are two broad reasons within this reason. The first is that you don't have a lot of transferable skills. So for example, if you like work as a plumber, this is basically all you know. If you work as an electrician, this is basically all you know. There isn't a lot of transferable skills because, and you can co-opt some of the gov characterizations here. Vocational schools are like less time. They focus on a particular subset of skills, and it's not a broad general teaching of skills. Whereas in university, you could, for example, learn good communications and writing skills. If you're an engineer, you could, for example, specialize by getting a master's degree or something like that. So you have a lot more leg room to have a flexibility in terms of the jobs that you're doing, and to for example, choose to work something else that earns a lot of money. But the second reason is that in most cases, there is a cap on the amount of money that you can do, and you can't really scale it. Like, sure, many people need plumbing, but after all, there is a limit to how many people can actually like need this type of service. It's usually one particular set of service that you're doing over and over again, and you can't really like climb it up in these type of cases. But secondly, there are a lot of changes to the market. Like when you have a college degree, you can easily jump from one industry to another by, let's say, doing a master's degree on it, or let's say just finding another job that just wants you to have a college degree. You can't really do that with vocational skills because you are smart in a particular thing, and there is a general stereotype within society that you are not necessarily competent in other things. So like, you won't expect a plumber to have good communication skills or writing skills or things like that. You think he's just good at plumbing. So bottom line is, there is both a cap on the amount of income that you earn and the risk, and there are multiple risks to your job. This is the flip side of this argument. So why on their side it's bad? Why does this win the debate? Firstly, it flips a lot of the OG's metric in the debate, because if you're able to achieve a greater amount of money, you basically have a greater amount of fulfillment with your own life and a greater amount to help your family. So if you like become an investment banker that earns 100K a year, and like you can alleviate your family from poverty just like that, that actually gives you more fulfillment, even though there was a significant sacrifice that you had to do. But secondly, like, the benefits of financial stability are not exclusive, because like, for example, you can still get a part-time job as per the characterization that we've given, like work in a supermarket or something like that. But you have to exclusively study in university to get a high-paying job. And that way you flip their benefit and explain why on their side you could get their benefit in other ways. So on balance, you should be able to beat government if you are being adjudicated by a fairly normal judge. Cool. This is one case that we could run. What's a second case that we could run? About the university experience overall. So here we're not looking at success, we're just looking at how the person holistically experiences university. Why does the actor care about this? Firstly, you are a young person, So you want to like live your college life like any other. Most likely this is a narrative that you have internalized because you've seen it in movies, because people around you ask and talk about going to college and things like that, or it is something that you feel like entitled that you should have. Secondly, because you are because you are an intelligent person, you most likely want to express your intellect. You want to be surrounded by information, by discussions. You want to have like great academic role models, like for example a professor that will teach you many things. So you necessarily want to do this. And thirdly, like there is just more to life than money. People care about non-material things, even like people who have experienced levels of poverty. They care about, for example, philosophy. They care about art. They care about experiencing the world more than just the material aspect of it. I know that this is a burden that's not so intuitive, but if you give enough illustrations to it, you should be able to persuade a reasonable judge in terms of this particular in terms of this particular viewpoint. Cool. So bottom line is we've established that the person cares about a overall university experience. So why can you get this university can you get this academic slash intellectual experience uniquely through university, i.e. why others ways don't also do this? So the first thing is like there's an atmosphere to this. Like you're constantly challenging ideas, there are constantly discussions, there are constantly like social groups and things like that where you can feel intellectually stimulated. On the comparative, the outside world that's not in academia does not have these things. Most people don't want to discuss that many things. They view this as like something that nerds do, or like they don't really have an opinion on these things, or they have like more pressing concerns. So university like gives you this specific atmosphere that no other time in your life you can have. Second reason is intensity. You do projects, you pass exams, you talk to professors. You're in this constant loop where you're doing these particular things, which means that in general you are challenged to think. You're challenged to engage your critical thinking, to engage your creative thinking, and to do these things. And also, like, this is just a period of experiment. Because you're young, you could, for example, do a class that you thought you'd never done. Or, for example, you may get into a club that you didn't think that would interest you, like debating or like an art club or something like that. Importantly, it's very important to give illustrations of these things, because like these reasons in of themselves don't really sell the point. So here are some illustrations that I thought up. Maybe there are better ones, obviously. Like for example, you could do a very important project or coursework that is like close to your heart. You may have like a great idea, like for example to start a business, an NGO, political party, stuff like that. Even if it's not like this, and it's good to give an even if here, you at least have tried, and at least you have find some kind of fulfillment in yourself and your own personal story and the way you view the world holistically, to tell yourself, okay, but at least I tried, at least I did it, at least I know what this is, and at least this wasn't something taken away from me in this type of case. Which brings us to the flip side of this argument, that you will never know on government side of the house, which causes a lot of negative emotions within you. It causes a feeling of envy, that you weren't given this opportunity, which makes you like very antisocial to people. It makes you feel like you weren't good enough in many of these cases, or that you are right now not good enough, that you had all this potential and you couldn't use it. Like you probably in your life have met such a person that feels like the world owed him something, and he like is turned into a very antisocial, very not so good person because of that. You most likely also hate your parents for not giving you this option, and for basically forcing you, even if they didn't force you, but metaphorically force you to go into vocational training in order for you to do these type of things, which lowers your relationship with them because you don't like them. You feel basically guilty that you made the wrong choice, that you didn't follow your dreams, and that you don't have this satisfaction. Now, importantly, if we're following the debate so far from the previous recording, one way Gov could potentially respond to this is by saying, but you can just study later. Like you don't have to study right now. So a burden within this flip is to explain actually why you can't study again or later down the line. So here are two reasons. There's probably some other reasons. Like for example, as you grow older, you have other commitments. You have your job. You face financial scares. You may start a family because you found a partner and things like that. So people aren't very willing to experiment. But secondly, like just sunk cost, right? You already went through some kind of education, you already have a job, you don't really want to risk it. And in general, society kind of views this as weird. Like the same way you probably view old people in debating as weird. We view like people who do like the like a bachelor's degree at 35 or something like that as being a bit strange and not close to our age. So yeah, so those are the reasons why you wouldn't most likely do it. Why does this win the debate? Similar to basically the first line, you can kind of see a pattern here. Like there are ways to mitigate financial problems with the framing that we've given. You could get a job, you can have a scholarship, maybe you could live below your means for some time, which is bad, but it isn't that bad in comparison to like the extreme negative emotions that you will feel when you don't have this sense of fulfillment, that you, for example, have lost your young years and you can never get them back, similar to how people feel that they've lost their childhood, that they never got this chance to experiment, to discuss, to talk, to feel like someone who is part of this exclusive club of people who go into university and things like that. You really have to sell the narrative here and sell the emotionality of this when you explain all of these things to the judge, so that they get the importance of this argument. Cool. Forgot to make the final slide. Great. So that's it. Those are two cases on op that you could use. If you have any other argument ideas or statement ideas, comment below. If you find this helpful or have any questions, also feel free to do that. I guess I'll be looking at the comments and writing when I can. And yeah, see you in the next video.